All right, so let's make this code a bit more complex. So instead of just attaching it directly, now I have to ask if the player is already holding a weapon or not. If the player is already holding a weapon, I want to attach this weapon to the back of the character because they're already holding a weapon. So we don't want to attach it to the hand. So what I want to do is take this equipped weapon and drag from here and say, is it equal to unarmed? So right now, do you have no weapons? If that is the case, like you're not holding any weapons, I actually want to attach it to the hand of the player. So what I can do is I can connect it here. And here, instead of just attaching it to the rifle socket, maybe it's a pistol. So what I can do is I can drag from here and say select. Choose this one. We have used this one before, but now you can see another example of it. Now we have to select depending on what the weapon type is. So if it's a pistol, it's going to use the socket pistol. If it's a rifle, it's going to use socket rifle. So I'm going to copy this weapon type again, and I'm going to connect it here. So if the socket or if the weapon type is equal to unarmed, we don't really need to do anything. If it's pistol, I want to attach it to is pistol. That's what we call the socket. And if it's a rifle, we want to attach it to is rifle. So now it knows what socket to use depending on what the weapon type is, and everything else is correct. Now, however, let's actually just move it over here. However, if you are not unarmed, it means you already have a weapon in your hand. Let's copy all of this again. And now instead of, depending now on what the weapon type is, I'm going to either, if it's a pistol, going to add it to S weapon thigh. Remember, that's what we call the socket for the thigh, and S weapon back if it is a rifle. So now it's going to put it to those as well. So this is going to be connected here if it is false. I'm just going to move all of this closer. Okay, so now it is more organized and we can go ahead and compile and save everything. So we only want to set the equipped weapon whenever we have nothing in our hand, because if we do have something in our hand, we just want to add the weapon to the back of the character. So let's save everything and let us click on play. And if I select terrorist here and I walk to here, let me actually just open up this one so we can see if it is working. So for this character, if I just maximize this a bit so you can see, if I now walk into the rifle, you can see I hold it in my hand. If now I walk into the pistol, and right now you can actually see that the pistol, it has fallen through the ground. So I actually want to fix this, and I believe it's this mesh here. It's really thin, so it's falling through the ground. So let's actually fix that. Let me take the box here. If I go to, let me remember where I saved it, the Super Grid folder, starter pack, source, and meshes, and let's use the Super Grid box for the ground instead of the plane. So I'm going to take this box. I'm actually going to snap it to 100 here for the movement first. And I'm going to put this box to something like here. And let's move it down to the ground again. And I'm going to push it back just like where this ground is. So I'm just going to move it like this, I believe. And here. Okay, now it is on the ground. Now I'm going to scale it the same as the scale for the ground. I'm just going to try as best as I can to, let me actually just scale it up first. Let me scale it up here to 10, 10. And for the Z, we don't really need it. So let me just click on this lock and let me write 1 here. And I'm going to click on this ground. And actually it is further down like this here. And I'm going to snap it over here and over on the other side. Okay, so now it snaps on the ground, and I'm going to click on the ground. I'm going to hold shift and right click to copy this 8081. I'm going to click on my box here. I'm going to hold shift and left click to paste it. And now it should be correct. So now if I go over to the other side, just to check if it covers the ground, and it does. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the plane. If I just click a couple of times here, it's going to select the supergrid plane. I'm going to delete, and I'm going to copy this material. So hold again, shift right click here, shift left click to paste this ground here, and it looks just like before. Okay, let us save everything. And now if we click on play, it should not fall through the ground. So the ground was pretty thin, and I have a suspicion that it's why it's falling through the ground. So let me again maximize this a bit. Now, if I play as this player and I loot a M4 and I loot a weapon, it should add it to the thigh. So you can see on the side of my character, I can now see the weapon. Awesome. Now for this AK, I can loot as well as the other player. And right now it has disappeared. You can see the client cannot see it. On the server, you can see that it looks correct because remember the server has the authority and can do anything. However, for the player, it is on the back as you can see here on the shadow. So there is some sort of a replication issue, some value that is not going over. And the only thing I can think of is this unarmed equipped weapon, because this one chooses if it puts the weapon in the back or in the hand. The way you fix this issue where you can't see the weapon when you loot it is, let's actually do this another way. So the set equipped weapon. So the reason is it's not really knowing this value because it's sometimes when I play as the client, it puts this weapon on the back of the character, you can see here, instead of looting it to the hand. And the reason for it that it puts it back to the on the back of the character is a replication issue. So for some reason, this equipped weapon, this is the one that controls if the weapon should be on your hand or the weapon should be on your back. For some reason, it's seeing that this equipped weapon value is not unarmed, like you have a weapon already, and it puts it on the back of the character instead of in your hand. And this is actually because we're running this one through the rep notify, and we don't need to do that because it will bug the game. So I'm going to remove this and let's go to the event graph instead. And let's run it here on the server because we have to set values through the server instead of through the rep notify. And instead of just changing it directly, remember you only want to set the equipped weapon whenever you are here in the unarmed. So whenever you are unarmed, you want to set the equipped weapon because you don't want to change it whenever you put that weapon on the back instead. So for this one, we have to take the equipped weapon and we have to ask if it is equal to unarmed. And let me just move this away. So make sure to ask, are you unarmed or not? Because we only want to run this code if you are unarmed. So if you are unarmed, yes, let's go ahead and I'm going to put a delay on the code before we actually do this. And the reason I do this is I'm giving a chance for this rep notify to run all of this code. Remember, it is going to use this equipped weapon variable to check if you are unarmed or not. And this will be bugged if you instantly put this weapon equipped weapon and change this weapon type. So we're making sure to delay it a bit, make sure that this code runs through before we actually change the weapon type or the equipped weapon here. So this delay needs to be as low as possible because it will look weird if you're running around without the animation applying. But let us just try it like this one before we do anything. So let me click on play here. And as the terrorist, now I can click on play and I can walk into the weapon and see if it is working. So now I can see it's working. And I have to just play a couple of times just to make sure that it is actually working. And now you can see it is not bugging out. I think this fixed the problem. However, in the future, if we still have a problem with this, we will try to fix it. But I think it is actually fixed now and we don't have a problem with it. Okay, so now let's try to reduce this number. So 0.05, something very low, and we can try to play and try to reduce it, but it is still going to work. So now you can see it is still working. If you reduce it too much, you go into the risk of the code in the rep notify not being able to reach at this point before you actually do this. So make sure it's low, but not too low, else you'll run into problems. But as you can see here, everything is working. And just make sure that you comment this delay out, because if you come back 3 months later, you have no idea why you did this. So make sure to hold this, click on C on your keyboard to add a comment. And for example, you can write for this comment, make sure that the weapon is attached to the hand before changing the player equipped state, just like that. And you can even write that you're waiting for the rep notify to apply, go ahead and compile and save everything. And that should work. So if you click on play now, and if you walk into the pistol now, you can see it's changing. If you walk into this one, it's putting it on your back. And I can see everything is working. So right now, another bug that we have, the last one hopefully, is when you place two weapons on top of each other, it's going to be a bit confused because you're overlapping two spheres and it don't know which one to loot, and it's going to bug out. So if I click on play now, and here's the client, I walk into both of them. So I try to run into both of them like that. You can see that it's actually holding the pistol and the M4 at the same time, and it's a bit confused. So we have to fix that bug as well, and let's actually do that in the next lesson.